So vision is realized when a core group of leaders embodies that vision, understands it, and brings it to pass. In this video, we're going to look at some keys to mobilizing a team of leaders to realize a vision, and that is coming up.
Hey guys, my name's Mark. Please subscribe to our channel so you get this content right there in your inbox and you don't miss a video.
So in the last couple of videos, we've been looking at the role of vision in multiplying disciples and fulfilling the Great Commission. Vision is absolutely key. In the same way that you might use Google Maps when you're taking a trip, you wouldn't just start driving and hope you arrive. You're going to set the end destination into the Google Maps app so that you arrive at the destination. We need a vision so that we know if we're still on track to arriving at the destination. And then if we take a detour, we need to make sure that we are still on route. That's why a vision helps us to make sure if we're still dialed in this moment towards achieving what our goal is. So one of the components of achieving a vision and multiplying disciples towards that vision is mobilizing teams. Now, this is not my good idea. This is the idea of Jesus. This is what was modeled in the book of Acts. So we're going to look at a couple teams and then some keys to getting a team on board towards helping to embody and then move towards a vision. Jesus mobilized teams. We see him choosing 3 out from even among his 12 to begin to embody and live out this vision and lead the others. He wasn't ashamed to call some people leaders and to pull them aside and spend special time with them. He didn't try to make it equal for everybody or give everybody equal opportunity or equal time. He assigned people specific tasks unapologetically, and we're called to do the same. So he assigned this role of core leadership to Peter, James, and John, and he brought them along on special occasions. So in Mark chapter 5, when he goes to raise this girl from the dead, he brings them along with him, only them. And when he goes up on the mountaintop and he's transfigured, he brings Peter, James, and John. What he's doing in these instances is drawing close to them, building a relationship with them, but he's also casting vision and equipping and training these core leaders to begin to take on personal ownership of the mission that he is passing off to them. We see in the book of Acts this same thing happening. We see Barnabas and Paul becoming a team in Acts chapter 10, and then on to Acts chapter 12, we see them adding John Mark as they are forming a team. And it's not a big team. We don't need to have 20 people on this team, just a few core people who are beginning to embody it and live it out together. So what are some core keys that we can look at as we are seeking to build a team to realize and move towards a vision in our own context? Well, number one, in the kingdom of God, as leaders who begin to live out this vision and call others into it, we are qualified by embodying the mission that we're calling others into. We see this in the very nature of Jesus, who took on the form of humanity and didn't count equality with God something to be grasped, but taking on our form, he humbled himself, and then God exalted him. And so we see in the life of Jesus and then in the life of those that he calls those that would be his followers and those who would then begin to lead this movement to embody the values and to begin to embody the practices of this new movement. You can't get away with saying one thing and doing another. In fact, that's that essence of hypocrisy, which he called the Pharisees, these hypocrites, which means to say one thing without ever having intention to actually follow through on your own words. So as leaders in the kingdom, we can't call people to a mission. We can't call people to something that we are not embodying ourselves. In fact, Jesus talks about this in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5-7. He says, that which you will do in secret, when you pray in secret, when you fast in secret, God will reward you openly. My Father in heaven will reward you openly. So it's when we begin to invest time and live it out in our own personal lives, we begin to see the fruit in the public life of those disciples that we're making in the culture that we are leading. So what that means for the vision is that we are looking for leaders who are responding to the mission that we're calling them into and beginning to embody that in their own life, and they've got people following them. That seems pretty simple, but if we're wanting to help to see this vision grow and multiply into the earth, and we're wanting to build a core group of leaders who are going to help bring this vision to pass, we need to find those who are living it out and who others are following into it. Not just they're charismatic and they can mobilize a crowd and exhort people. That's nothing wrong with that, but the actual leadership of that vision and that mission looks like embodying it and seeing that multiply into the lifestyle of those that they're leading. So, key number 2, when we are mobilizing a core team to move towards a vision together, we need a commitment within that core team. We need to have buy-in. Now, I say this because if you think about the last job that you had where you worked maybe a 9-to-5 job, there was some level of buy-in on the front end, right? You had a job interview. When you sit down for a job interview, you're going through this process of managing expectations. What are they going to expect of me? What do I expect of them? Well, I expect to get paid at a specific, consistent pay period, right? And they might expect me to show up at this specific time and end at this specific time every week. And I can expect to have this number of holidays off or whatever the job expectations might be. What you're doing in this process is they are getting buy-in from you as the employee into your role in this company. It's absolutely essential that we have buy-in from the leaders that we lead alongside. Now, when you're leading volunteers, it seems like a different deal. We can't ask buy-in in the same way. Now, can we? Well, Jesus sure did, and Paul and Barnabas sure did. You see, when they began to commit themselves to not specifically a time length, but to a mission, let's go back and visit the churches that we have started and begin to bring encouragement to them. That is a specific mission within a specific time that they are committing to together as a team. Jesus had the same thing. When he called his disciples, he said, "Follow me and I will make you fishers of men," and they dropped their nets. Now, that's an intense job interview right there where he's saying to these initial disciples, if you really want to follow me, I'm calling you to drop your nets, which means to abandon your current means of income and way of life and completely follow me. That's complete buy-in right there. When we are building a core leadership team, we need buy-in from our core leaders. Now, what I've done in the past when I've mobilized a core team and I've gotten buy-in from them is I ask for a specific length of time. Now, I might not ask for 5 or 10 years because I don't know that I'll be there in 5 or 10 years, but it is appropriate to ask them for maybe a quarter, 3 months, 6 months. You might ask for 1 or 2 years. And oftentimes it takes about 1 or 2 years to really get some momentum going. And if you have a lot of turnover of your core leaders during that time, you tend to lose momentum because you have to get those core leaders back on board with what's going on in the culture, what the language of that culture is, how to lead within that culture. If they're coming from the outside, especially, that's going to be true. So it's important to have that buy-in, not only for the sake of the culture itself, but for the sake of that leader. We need to know, are they bought in? Are they committed? Are they going to push through the hardship and when things get hard? So this is what happened with Paul and Barnabas. Along comes John Mark. He's on the team for a while. And then Paul says, I don't want to take this guy along with me. When things got hard, he began to pull out. So he wants to know, can I count on this guy when things get tough? When we are building a core team that's going to move towards that vision, we need to know if we can count on the people. Now, I think Paul was a little bit hard on John Mark. He could have given him a little more grace there, but the point being, when we are asking for buy-in of our core leaders, we're asking them to embody the values for a specific length of time, and we're managing expectations. We need to know if we can lock arms together and move towards this vision. So you might ask for a buy-in of a length of time and then give them a specific role within that length of time to begin to walk that out. And these ways of managing expectations, the equivalent of a job interview, and getting buy-in from your core leaders to begin to help embody that vision. So that's a couple keys to beginning to build a core team towards embodying vision. And again, vision is absolutely key. This is an important subject that we keep spending some time on to really get into us, because we need to be able to communicate that vision and get a few core people on board with it if we're going to realize and accomplish the task of reaching our city, of reaching the nations, and accomplishing the Great Commission for Jesus. So hope that's helpful. And if you have any other tips that you've been learning about how to mobilize people for vision, why don't you leave that in the comments? We'd love to hear from you and beginning to start this conversation around how are you seeing a team mobilized to achieve the vision. Hope that's helpful. Bless you guys.